Thanks for joining us again. Matty, back after a lengthy time away.
It's been a hiatus.
It has been a hiatus, so I'm sure you've got a fair bit to talk about, e.g. what you've been watching. But before we talk about all that, we are tonight doing 2004's Van Helsing. Looking forward to discussing that.
You were desperate to watch it.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I saw this. I'd seen this one time, did not remember one thing about it. And then when I turned it on today, I went, oh fuck. My first thought was, oh, fuck. I shouldn't have watched it. You shouldn't be watching this. Because I brought this up.
You did?
I brought this up. So if anyone has to take some heat, probably should be me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Matty, look, what have you been watching?
I'll just limited it to sort of the last 5 because it's been too long.
Okay.
So I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once, which was good. It's a bit of a sci-fi. I liked it.
It's weird, right?
It's pretty much an extended episode of Rick and Morty, but it was entertaining. I really enjoyed it. Parallel worlds and space jumping, all that sort of thing. World jumping. It was good fun. I watched Hell Comes to Frogtown.
Yes. Yes.
I saw a little clip and I flicked it over to Jad and he said he'd seen the movie and I was like, this isn't a movie that exists, and I chased it down and watched it. And so Roddy Piper does all right. He does all right. The movie's pretty horrible. It has a good feel to it, but yeah, I don't think I'll be watching that one again.
What was his line in that? The guy, big frog face, like, shut your hole.
That's it. He's talking about selling women, bartering women off. And, yeah, it's very odd. But there's some cool. Even the frogmen, they just sneak a jump in at one point and jump like a whole story, and you're just like, oh yeah, frogs can jump. That's kind of cool. But, it was kind of entertaining, but exactly what you'd expect for a D-grade movie.
Yes.
I watched Baby Reindeer.
Yes, I saw that too.
Yeah, which was, I thought that was pretty entertaining. Watching my wife go, I don't want to be victim blaming here, but I kind of blame the victim.
Yeah.
Look,
it was a difficult one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because it had some really interesting angles. Like, there's some shit that I didn't expect.
And he just invites it back into his life.
Yeah.
It is entertaining though. I did enjoy it. I saw Alien versus Predator, and I switched off very quickly. That was a pile of poop.
Yeah, not good.
I'd never want to see that again.
I think Paul W.S. Anderson might be cut from a similar cloth as one Stephen Summers, who's involved in making this. So I can see why you switched off.
Never want to see it again. And I've been watching an endless amount of Power Rangers.
The boys getting into it.
What, old school Power Rangers?
A myriad of different versions.
Oh, man.
There's I will never understand Power Rangers. I wasn't into it when I was a kid. I don't know why they need to marry dinosaurs and swords and all this stuff. It just makes no sense to me.
I think Tubi's got all the Super Sentai ones too. So like the Japanese stuff that it was originally all cut from.
Well, that's all right. As long as my kid doesn't find out and I have to sit through it.
I might just mention it to him next time. Hey, dude, have you heard about this?
Check out Tubi, mate. It's all free on there.
But that's sort of like my last 5. So.
Okay. Jared?
Yep, I had a few. I watched. I think I mentioned the last time me and Matty watched Furiosa.
Yes.
I was interested to get Matty's take because we talked a little bit about it. I quite enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. I didn't buy the girl as Furiosa. I didn't buy her. She was too much of a model. Like she just like too skinny or something. She just looked like a model instead of an action hero.
No.
But I did enjoy it. Like in terms of an action flick, it had a good flow to it.
Yeah.
There's some cliches in there, but it was still pretty.
Could we have de-aged Charlize Theron?
Could you have
I
afforded
mean, I was
Charlize
okay.
Theron?
I think Anya Taylor-Joy was okay once it sort of built up to it, but there was the stretch before where it was like, oh, he's her becoming what she's becoming. And there was a decent little story with her and this other fella on the road. And I can tell you, I perked up when we get a war boy chase scene and they're on fucking, they leap out and they're on fucking paragliders. Yeah. I'm like, all right, Georgie Miller's found a way to put people in mortal danger again. I love it. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I think Hemsworth was good too. Yeah. Like it was just,
He had a bit of depth to him. He brought a lot to the table. I think.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. Anyway, I went to see The Fall Guy again.
Oh, yeah?
I had a mate that hadn't seen it, just said, I want to go see this. And I'm like, well, I've seen it, but it's pretty great, so we'll see it again. Loved it again. Now, I mentioned to you last time, Adam, that I had watched a doco that included the Texarkana Phantom,
Yes.
which is the kind of town that dreaded sundown basis. So I watched both the original and the remake.
Yes, because you had started watching the original.
I just started it, so I finished it up and then went straight into the remake. The remake wasn't as good as I recalled. I think there was throughout the movie, really good actors involved, good sequences, but I recalled the twist being good.
Yeah, and it wasn't.
It wasn't.
No, the twist is crap.
Yeah, so that was a little bit of a downer, but I still quite enjoy both of them. I think the look of the Phantom, especially in the first one, is really, really cool, and you can see the influence that it had. And it has that extra layer, even though you know it's highly fictional. But
it may have been real.
Yeah, but watching a little bit of the doco, then watching the fictional account, which has details that actually happened, and then watching the remake, which took the approach of movie in a movie and kind of brought a bit more of the real stuff back around for another fictional take on it. It's kind of interesting to see it kind of go through that.
One thing I will say is the remake is very brutal. It's surprisingly brutal.
Yeah.
Like the sequence involving the trombone, which I think in the original is kind of a little bit naff.
I think it was more impactful in the original, to be honest, because it was just more raw, sort of.
But the one in the remake is fucking
nasty.
awful.
Yeah.
I remember just sitting there going, "Holy shit!" Like they're right, and they're just lingering on it.
Yeah, I actually forgot it was Blumhouse too.
Yeah. So did I.
I watched the original Star Wars again. My kids wanted to start a rewatch,
Classic.
so still enjoy that very much. I think one of the fun things about it too is like going back, and now that you know all about the special effects and whatever, and you're telling your kids, hey, this is how they did it before you could just do it all on a computer. Check this shit out. That's just a this or that, or it's kind of fun. Then, Adam, I was looking to watch some Jackie Chan, and for some reason, Tubi just, reaching, like God reaching down from the clouds, just happened to drop Rush Hour 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, God.
On the day that I was looking for some Jackie Chan. So I went for them, and I've watched all of them now.
And how, as a package, how is it?
One holds up better than I thought. Like, it's not the best of Jackie Chan, and Chris Tucker's not, he's not like peak Eddie Murphy or anything like that. But it's all reasonably solid and a bit of fun. 2 and 3 are pretty average, pretty ordinary. I think Jackie Chan gets more to do in those ones, but it's still just average filmmaking. Brett Ratner's juvenile humour.
How racist is it?
It's pretty. I mean, there's the amount of times Chris Tucker says, "I'm going to kick your ass back to Beijing" or something like that. At one point, he mentions Bangkok. I'm like, the bloke's Chinese. Or that he's supposed to be from Hong Kong, but he just throws out a random Asian place. And it's just,
Fucking hell.
It's not great. I must say, speaking of juvenile humour, in the third one, which I hadn't seen before this, I'd kind of let the third one just go when it came. So this was the first time I'd seen part 3, but I love the outtakes at the end of them all.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the one where the famous one where Chris Tucker can't say who you think you got. Chelsea Clinton.
Yes,
Keeps going, and then he goes, "Who do you think you got? Chelsea Grammer?" And the guy in the background tries to deliver his next line, but just bursts out laughing. And then there's the one in part 2 where he's trying to say gefilte fish.
Yeah, that's
he
right.
keeps fucking going gefilte fish. And Jackie Chan starts going, "Even I can say this." Like, but in the third one, there's a scene where Jackie Chan kind of just mentions. They're sitting in a hotel room, and he like, let's put on a dirty movie or something like that on the TV. But in the outtakes, there's all these ones going, I like ones with feet, and I like ones with horses, and all this sort of shit. And you think like, and then Chan goes, "What am I saying?" Because Brett keeps feeding me these lines. So I was like, "Oh mate, this is kind of low key," but I was laughing at it.
Yeah,
it was very much low hanging fruit. But yeah, it is quite racist. That's what they go for. And the best stuff is not that. The best stuff is when it's just kind of, Jackie Chan being the fish out of water. I mean, I still laugh my ass off when he starts singing War and kind of strutting down the street and whatever. So yeah, that was interesting. And then, unfortunately, I finished off with the Garfield movie today.
Oh. Jesus Christ. You paid $26 for that in the cinema?
Yeah, it was in D-Box.
Oh, fucking hell.
She was pretty pricey.
Yeah.
No Paddington.
Holy shit.
Well, sometimes your kids just say, I want to
Yeah,
go
but
to the movies.
sometimes you say
and
no.
Garfield's the only thing that's on.
Sometimes you say no.
Yeah, look, I'm a sucker. You tell me anything in the movies. If I haven't gone for a couple of days, I'll be like, yeah, okay,
Sorry.
cool. So that was what it was. It was fucking weird. It's like,
It was weird.
well, it starts off with like Garfield and John and all this stuff, and you're like, oh, this is all right. Next thing you know, there's a fucking heist involving a farm, and like, what the fuck's going on? And look, Hannah Waddingham, I think she's a talented person, but fuck, she's over the top. And she was one of the voices, and you could just tell, like, it was just screeching. Even in the Fall Guy, I was a bit kind of, oh, she's a bit much.
Well, because she's a bit over the top in the Fall Guy, you realise she has a role.
Exactly what's going on. Yeah, look, I think it's just she's very theatrical about everything, and I just just take the foot off the gas just a little bit sometimes. So
Garfield.
yeah, that's a bit of a problem.
Garfield is a character.
Garfield
He's got some depth to him himself.
hates Mondays.
Hates Mondays.
Son of an alley
That's the
cat.
depth.
Son of an alley cat.
You want to know who was the alley cat in this one?
Go on.
Sammy Jackson. Talking about paycheck, Ving Rhames needed a paycheck.
What, the Mission Impossible money's not good enough? Jesus
Mission
Christ.
Impossible money obviously ain't Garfield money.
Oh, come on. Vig's getting paid. He's getting paid on Mission Impossible. He doesn't need this bullshit.
No.
All right, is that everything for you?
Snoop Dogg too.
Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, that was it.
Right, that's that for you. All right, okay. Obviously, I went and saw Bad Boys Ride or Die. So I'll kick off with that. Real backward step. And, I've done a couple of little mini reviews on our Instagram page, and I basically said, it was a step back from Bad Boys for Life. And the fucking filmmaking, the action filmmaking was just shocking. Like weird camera angles and fucking shit rotating through action scenes. It reminded me of Part 2.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
Yeah.
And, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence have chemistry, and that's always worked. But other than that, she's a bit of a dud. So I would avoid that. I watched the first episode of a documentary series on Netflix called Dancing for the Devil.
Yeah.
Which is about these TikTok dancers who get caught up with this. I'm sure you guys could guess a cult involving a church. Fuck, we did. The first episode was okay, but I was kind of like, there doesn't seem to be as much interest in this one in comparison to something like the one that I watched on Disney about the dude who fucking decided to move into a college dorm room and turned it into a fucking cult. Like, it feels a little bit kind of... This one feels a little bit surface level.
Where was the fucking house man? Or whatever you fucking running, checking in on people?
As I said, even if I'm high, I'm going, that guy's got fucking 24 hours.
Yeah,
or I'm going to faculty.
Yeah.
Right? And he's out of there. Because he didn't have his hooks in then. So you can get rid of him. But yeah, look, I don't know. I'll probably I'm not sure whether I'll continue with this one. And then me and my wife decided to go on a psychopathic, psycho from hell run. So we started with Sleeping with the Enemy, which was all right. Actually, surprisingly better than I remember it. Although not a lot kind of happens between them. You get Patrick Bergen fucking threatening every man and his dog to try and find her. And then you just get Julia Roberts on the other side of the coin making a new life for herself. And they only sort of converge right at the end. But I still love the right at the ending of it, where she rings the cops and tells them, I just shot an intruder. And he just goes, what? And she's... thought that stuff still had a bit of, that stuck a little bit.
Question.
We then watched... Yes.
Is Patrick Bergen just to cut rate Ronnie Silver?
Yeah.
Doesn't have the negotiating skills, at least.
Because he was cracking a tax too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing that it gets right, and it's actually very much ahead of its time. They set up obviously it's a domestic violence situation, but he only ever hits her one time, and the rest of it they set up as this very much controlling type of stuff that we're hearing about now. He brings her into the bathroom to show her that she hasn't fucking put the hand towels all correct. And, there's another thing where she says she wants a job 5 days a week, and he's like, well, you're currently working 3 half days a week. I think that's plenty. And she says, when has dinner never been on the table for you? And he goes, I remember a couple of months back when it wasn't. And I was like, fuck, this guy's clearly sort of keeping this sort of very much, she's on tenterhooks the whole time. And I think that works really well. But they separate the two of them, and then nothing really happens for a long period. But then we jumped into my personal favourite of the lot, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Ooh. Mate, Rebecca De Mornay is fucking off her chops. It's great stuff. Like, she just dives right into the psychotic angle and kills it. And she's one of these actresses where I was kind of like, why was she not a bit bigger? You know? She had a few really good roles.
Yeah.
And then kind of, she just never quite found that big role for her. Ernie Hudson, though, not doing a good job.
Of course he is.
No,
always does a good job.
Ernie's not doing a good job for people with some fuck. What am I looking for here? It's hard. This is a hard one to pick up, but kind of, he's a bit slow, I think, is what they're going for. Ernie's not nailing that.
Right, okay.
He's not nailing that at all. Put it out there.
Probably not the thing that was nailed in that period of
No,
time.
not
anywhere on film, really.
Not in the early 90s, no. It's like they seem to have no concept of any of that.
I mean, it was, It just wasn't.
Yeah, Ernie certainly wasn't.
Larry Drake on LA Law and things like that.
Not well handled. We went to The Good Son.
Yep.
Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Actually, Macaulay Culkin's quite good.
He was actually, when you go back and watch him, you're like, there was a reason he got a lot of roles, because he could act.
Yes. Yeah.
He actually could.
He could act, and he actually does. This is outside his wheelhouse, and he's actually quite good in it. And if you look behind the scenes, they had other actors in mind. And then his dad came along and started fucking saying he wanted to be in it, so they dropped everything and grabbed him. But I think it actually worked. Then I watched Russell Crowe in Unhinged. Oh, fuck. Now, Rusty gets it right. He, of course, also goes way over the top. And his is classic psycho. You know, he never does anything other than try and kill everyone. And so it kind of works in that respect. But it's actually about him, not about any other characters. So it's kind of like he just overshadows everything, which makes it a little bit kind of not quite there.
At least you didn't have a Greek accent.
Yeah, whitewashing all the Greek roles.
Holy shit. I'm not going to lie. You showed me that. I thought it was a fucking joke. I didn't think it was Russell Crowe initially.
Guys, I'm available. Play Zeus.
Well, you have roots in there, you know, like you actually have, you have a background there. Russell, I don't know what he was doing.
Oh man.
Okay, so we then went to. My wife picked this one, and it's from like 2 years ago. It was called Promising Young Woman.
Yeah.
It was. I could see, why it's pretty well regarded, because it actually asks a lot of questions about sexual assault and things like that. But it was also one where, Jared, I think they were going for black comedy, and that shit didn't gel, in my opinion, because you kind of went really serious and dark in some points, and then you tried to go this comedy route in other angles, and I didn't think they mixed very well. I mean, the performances are excellent. I watched Smile.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was kind of... This isn't that good.
Yeah, it's not great. It's
like,
got
people
some
are fucking raving about it.
No.
And I was just like, this is kind of average.
It's a decent watch, but it's not a classic. It's not like a...
Well, I felt, Jared, they fell back into the repetition thing.
Yeah.
Like the first 45 minutes, they set things up quite nicely, and then they spend 45 minutes just repeating everything. Like,
Well, it's a case, to me, it was another case too where it's like, oh, this is elevated horror because we're dealing with
psychological things.
Psychological stuff. But it was so on the surface, like you could just read it
Yeah.
so easily that it's like there's not a lot of subtext. It's just all in your face.
Yeah. So I was
Not a criticism, but I kind of gets my goat a little bit when things are, it's elevated horror, so it's better. Well, no, it's just a decent horror flick. Like horror flicks have always had messages and subtext.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I then watched The Stepfather from 2009,
Mm-hmm.
not the
original.
The original. The Stepfather in 2009. Deary me.
Stinker.
I mean, poor old Dylan Walsh. He is actually good. He's the best part of it. He plays the stepfather.
Yeah.
He's good. But the movie just sucks. It's just, he's surrounded by just fucking, like, shit performances and, like, this awful screenplay. And I felt like the Terry O'Quinn one was better equipped to kind of, I think probably because it was made in the 80s, that it was harder to say you knew who he was.
Yeah.
Whereas in 2009, fuck, they would have found him in 5 minutes.
Yeah. It's on the watch list, actually, the original on the Tubi. Tubi has the three of them.
Yeah.
So I was...
I want to get back into The Stepfather too, because I remember that being a bit balls to the wall too.
Yeah, I remember both of them being quite enjoyable, though, the original.
We saw the original probably about 12 months ago.
Yeah.
It really stands up.
Yeah.
Terry O'Quinn's fucking hugely underrated. And his performance in that is just phenomenal. Again, another guy who had the chops to become kind of, get more roles, but you just didn't get them. Then we watched Heathers. Talk about overrated. Like, everyone loves that shit. But I just was like, it was fucking boring. Like, not much happens. I think it's because it skewed the teen movie. It did something different with teen films, like in the 80s. Because, most of the teen movies at that time were John Hughes and all that sort of stuff. And it did something different, I will say that.
Yeah.
But it was just boring.
Yeah, I recall it being all right.
It's okay. It's okay. It's watchable.
Back, I think.
But I just found it, like, after a while, it was just sort of slow and a bit... I was just a bit off on it.
I think it's just you're just cantankerous nature. You
you
can't laugh at these.
Well,
things
fuck, I can't. I'm never happy with anything.
I guess to the point where you get half hour in, you snooze for 45, you wake up, go, what's this shit?
Yeah. What am I watching here?
If you're trying to do something different than John Hughes, you're doing it wrong anyway.
Yeah, that's right. I watched Under Paris. The shark movie in Paris, garbage.
So we're saying that Jaws is still pretty comfortable, pretty safe.
Bulls roar. Like when I say bulls roar, I mean bulls roar.
Jaws is still sort of Usain Bolt at the 90-metre mark.
Yeah, I cannot believe, Jared, it's been 50 years and we haven't got a movie anywhere near it. Like, not in the same fucking ballpark. I said Jaws 2 was somewhere near it. And you said no. It's not.
It's a pretty fair margin. I don't think Jaws 2 is bad, but it's like, it's not even close.
This was, for a little bit, it was sort of going all right. They were keeping the shark sort of hidden, and because it was in the scene or whatever, and it's a lake. Is it a lake? Or something. It's not it's a freshwater. It's a freshwater body. So the sharks, wouldn't be expected to be in there.
Yeah.
And it's quite murky. So you kind of kept the thing under wraps for a bit. Then she just goes fucking Burko, and suddenly sharks are bursting up out of the water and eating people. I was just like, what the fuck are you doing? And it just descended into madness by the end. Like, I was just like, oh, man, I just got to get out of this. So
if you watched it on time and a half.
No. I watched it all the way through, but I was just disappointed because I felt like they were sort of doing all right, and then they just kind of blew it. And the last one was still on the Psychos, and I'd never actually seen this. We watched Swim Fan.
Oh.
Shocking. Shocking. Swim Van is awful.
Yeah.
Like, it is so bad. And it's even got, like, all these missing bits. So where you're kind of like, what happened? Why is she like she is?
Yeah.
And they kind of try and tie it back to some... she had a car accident with a bloke and now he's in a coma. And she makes mention of him as a boyfriend. But it never quite fully explains, okay, well, were they actually dating or was she doing the same thing to him and the accident was her fault? None of that sort of comes to fruition, and then it just rushes to the ending.
I recall that being the insinuation. Like,
I think it was. I think it was the insinuation is that, yes, she caused the accident.
Yeah. I remember when that, like, it started to generate a bit of buzz, and we were kind of looking at it going, this looks like... high-grade garbage. And I remember watching it back then going, yep, this is...
low-grade garbage.
Yeah.
It was shocking. And, you know, I don't know why anyone thought, what's his name? Jesse Bradford. I mean, fuck. He is as plain and as sort of average in the lead role as you can be. So, yeah... that was a tough one to finish up
like
with.
You've had a really good week.
I've had a tough week. I'll say that. I will have to say that. I've had a rough week. But that was it, thank God.
And then this.
Okay, well, I've had a shit time of it. Whew. I mean, there's not a lot of good stuff in that mix I've just given you there, is there?
Not a lot.
No, not a
Heather
lot.
Rocks the Cradle.
Heather Rocks the Cradle, yeah. Check out Heather Rocks
Once you
the Cradle.
got deeper into your catalogue, I can see why you were upset by the time you got to Heather's.
I did, yeah. Look, I was in a rage by the time I got there, so maybe I didn't take them as well as I should have.
Just stewing on the couch for a week.
I mean, I was like Russell Crowe in Unhinged by that stage. I was fucking going off. But all right, now let's take a break, people, because I think I'm going to have the hardest time with this one. But here's the trailer for 2004's Van Helsing.
Everybody inside!
Evil has many names, but only one man to fear.
Van Helsing, your reputation precedes you.
Really? On May 7th. Who's hunting whom? Adventure lives forever. Van Helsing. This film is not yet rated. It starts Friday, May 7th.
Van Helsing from 2004. Written and directed by Stephen Sommers, who directed The Mummy. It's also produced by Stephen Sommers and Bob Ducey, who produced Godzilla from 2010, or the one that had Bryan Cranston in it.
2014,
sorry.
roughly.
It stars Hugh Jackman as Van Helsing, Kate Beckinsale as Anna, Richard Roxburgh as Count Dracula, and David Wenham as Carl. The budget was $160 million. Oh, Jesus. I think I've got a bone to pick with that shit too. And the box office was $300 million worldwide. The Grey Werewolf, which is featured early in the film, I think it's the first one we see, was intentionally designed to resemble Rick Baker's werewolf creation from the film An American Werewolf in London. And it does look somewhat like that, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
It's a cool kind of throwback. All right, Matty. Hit
Look,
me up.
This one has elements of James Bond. It's got elements of Star Wars and Indiana Jones. But it is much like an all-star game. You've got all these amazing elements, but nobody is performing. It's not entertaining.
Nobody's
There's no
playing defense.
tension. And the end result is just a bit of a fizzer.
Yes.
This is up there with John Carter, who wastes of money. And, 2 stars is generous. There's some good set pieces in it, but it didn't entertain me at all.
2 stars. All right. Jared?
Yeah, Matty's bang on. There's a lot of good performers. Richard Roxburgh, fine actor. Not today, he's not. But
Oh, no.
the cast all round, really. I think there's a few people that are fine and not necessarily their issues. But there's just so much going on, but nothing really happening. Like, plot-wise, there's just so much on screen. As I said to you, Adam, every scene, there's rows of barrels on fire, or there's wheels turning, or there's fucking lightning, and or a million fucking baby Draculas flying around. Like, there's just not a scene where there's not anything happening. But as I said, nothing's really advancing the plot or the story elements all that well. I still look at it and say I can see why they wanted to do this idea, but it just flops in the execution of it all. So I think by the end of it, I was a 1.5. I was a 2 for a while, but I just thought when I got to the end, I'm like, nothing's happened. And so I was sort of, 1.5 by the end.
Yeah, I gave it 1. It's terribly boring, and it squanders at what, as you say, Jared, was a cool idea. The idea of Van Helsing kind of being a little bit like James Bond and being, taking care of all the stuff was, could have worked. But it's just fucking squandered by like terrible performances and just a fucking wash of CGI that they could not do a scene without some of that shit in there. No. And I think you pointed it out when we were off air, the technology wasn't there. So you couldn't do that stuff as well as you would have hoped.
Yeah, they put it everywhere, but it just didn't have the quality to do everything they wanted to do.
Yeah. I mean, even today, you're looking at stuff where the CGI is much, much better, and we're still looking at high-budget films and going, gee, that looks like shit.
Yeah.
So they were kind of, it was too much, and there's just zero fun. Yeah. It kind of felt like an attempt to redo The Mummy.
Yeah.
Which he kind of found the right mix in The Mummy. This is just the absolute opposite.
More ends up like side by side with the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Kind of. Well,
to it.
That's a good comparison. I think you'll find that if you watch that shit again, it'll be the same problem. Like, there's just way too much CGI. Sean Connery could not give a fuck about being there. So I gave it 1. Like, and looking at the budget, you spent $160 million on this piece of shit.
Yeah. Imagine being the people that made that movie and then having it on your conscience that a bloke that has made movies for 50 odd years and has made some shit decided after that one, nah.
The guy wore a fucking red nappy in a movie called Zardoz.
Correct.
And they didn't walk away from that. Jesus Christ.
But after your film, he said thank you.
Fuck this, I've had enough.
I'm packing my shit, I'm not coming back.
Exactly. All right, okay, I've got very few likes, so this could be a little bit thin. I gave Jackman, I cut him some slack. He's charismatic at times.
Yep.
And he has all the prerequisites to be an action hero. And there are moments where I was kind of like, it's always good to see him. I've got an issue with his hair. Later on, I'll talk about that. But I gave Jackman a pass.
Yeah. His hair wouldn't look out of place in a Mel Gibson period piece.
Yeah. A fucking The Patriot or some shit like that.
Yeah. So I think I sort of mentioned it, but I feel like the plan of it all wasn't the issue. Like, I'm a bit of a sucker for the Universal monsters, and you want to spin a new take on Dracula or Frankenstein or whatever. You cross them over, great. It sounds good. And putting it into an action context like The Mummy, I can see after The Mummy was out, that pitch being cool. I like the idea. Because essentially that's what The Mummy was. It was one of those classic monsters that they spun this new idea, and it was really cool. I actually think we better go back and cover that one. Just
The
to
Mummy,
make sure we're not talking shit, because I haven't seen it in a few
The Mummy
years,
is good.
I remember really liking the first one. So yeah, I think that the concept was sound. And I also think some of the design stuff was sound. It doesn't work. The whole steampunk kind of idea in the designs of the costumes and the weapons and stuff isn't the worst thing about the movie.
No.
So I think that stuff was okay as well. Kind of reminded me of, like, there's a famous Batman story called Gotham by Gaslight, where it's basically Batman in the
Yes.
1890s tracking Jack the Ripper.
Mm.
And it reminded me of that, like in terms of like those elements. And obviously, steampunk, we've seen that shit everywhere.
So the thing that the Mummy had going for it was it kind of cribbed from Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
So it was very much cut from the Indiana Jones cloth.
Mm.
Whereas this is cut from the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen cloth. And that's a cloth that no one wants to wear.
Yeah, that's the cloth that people take off and don't return to acting from.
Correct. You fucking retired the guy. Holy shit. Okay. I kind of like the black and white opening.
Yeah, same.
I thought that was kind of cool. It did look very much like the old monster movies of the 50s. And I think they do a really cool bit where the It's Alive Frankenstein bit, which is basically they replay it essentially as it is in the film, the original film. So I liked that. I thought it was a nice little homage.
Nice nod.
Yeah, to those type of films.
Yep, I agree with that. Totally.
Okay. Fuck, has anyone got anything else? Because I've got a handful of things,
You've already mentioned it, but I think Jackman and Beckinsale together would be fine in other contexts. You stick them in as Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz in The Mummy. I think that movie's fine.
Yeah.
So I kind of let them off the hook a little too, as a pairing. I think as a lead pair, they can work.
Yes.
In something.
Yes.
Not this. But something. They're all backhanded compliments.
Yeah, these are backhanded, but I would agree. I didn't cut Beckinsale as much slack because her accent was shit ass.
But could that not be applied to everybody? I mean, Jackman, there was one where he came out and I was like, that's his American accent. And the next thing he came out and he's doing his English. There was definitely one scene where I'm like, I can hear the Australian there. It's like Hugh's just got out of the beach at Bondi on that fucking scene.
Yeah, I know, but you know what? Hugh was looking around the place listening to the fucking shit call of accents that were going on and thought, oh, well, no one cares.
I'm confused.
No one cares.
Yeah. It's that classic one where, if you think too deeply about it, everyone's got a fucking different accent, but they're all speaking English. The Transylvanian accents aren't the same.
Yeah.
The fucking English accents aren't the same. It's fucking ridiculous.
Look, the action scene involving Van Helsing and the brides at the village was okay. And I actually think the CGI looks pretty good there with the brides.
I can't agree on that one.
Okay. But I guess
I don't
maybe
mind the scene. Yeah, I don't mind
the scene worked out all right, and maybe I kind of let some of that go.
Yeah.
Because the action stuff there is all right.
I didn't mind that. The pump action revolving crossbow was pretty cool.
Yeah, like some of that stuff was cool. And I must admit, I did like the crossbow. Yeah. I loved the spinning things that he throws. Like some of that stuff was all right.
There wasn't enough of that.
Although at one point he's got a fucking pump action shotgun. And I was like, well, it's the fucking 1800s.
Steampunk, mate. Steampunk. Explain it away.
Okay.
Essentially, the whole idea of steampunk is we've got shit that we didn't have the fucking technology to have back then.
Oh, and sorry.
I agree. The scene was pretty
sorry,
good.
I also liked his zipline gun that he fires across and it goes into the thing, and I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I did kind of like the fight with the Shrek. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
CGI. Terrible.
Shocking.
Fucking shocking. Shocking. Jesus Christ.
Was that Robbie Coltrane?
Yeah, it was, Robbie Coltrane.
Poor old Robbie.
I liked it. I'm going to chop your arm off and then watch it wither back in.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
And I did
and
sort
he
of like
changes
him
in midair when he
back
falls.
whilst he's falling off, But I didn't get when he hits the ground, the guy there going, Van Helsing, you murderer. I'm like, surely we've determined that was this guy that's just ripped a swath through part of the town or whatever he'd done. Like,
Dr. Jekyll's a fucking arsehole, mate. Like, someone needed to bring him under it to heal.
Yeah.
I think you can let that go.
Yep, fair. I think Matty mentioned this too, but although the CGI is still an issue with the werewolf transformations, I really dig the idea that like they were fucking peeling off their skin and shit, and it was like tearing apart. And it seemed to kind of happen back the other way too. I don't know what happened to it all. It just seems to disappear. But
the skin?
Yeah. The way they're doing it, it's like there should be a fucking lump of skin on the ground, but it all just disappears. But it looks really cool. And it's sort of adds this visceral
and it's slightly
horror element
different
to the transformations.
It's slightly different from the classic werewolf transformation.
Like there's one where he's almost claws at it, and he kind of claws at his face and just sort of peels the top part of his body away. It looks, it's a cool idea.
There's some cool CGI stuff. Frankenstein putting his head back together.
Yeah.
was massive. Like,
I like that too. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that was cool, and that actually looked quite convincing.
Yeah.
At that point in the film too, I was kind of happy to see Frankenstein's monster back. I was just kind of like, it was in this real dead spot, and then he's come back.
Which one?
And started doing that when they have that little sort of brief blue, and then he kind of starts putting his head back together and things like that. And I thought, I'm happy to see him back here.
Yeah.
It was fleeting, Jared. Because a few minutes later, it was
like a sparkler. It wasn't a bonfire. It was just fizzled out.
For me, it was like when you light a match and you let it fucking burn down to your fingers. About it.
Yeah, okay.
My last like was I thought the action sequence on the horse and carriage where they fake the brides out and they leap over the bridge and everything. I thought that was okay, although I have a question mark. I have a question about the pair of horse and carriages. Was there another bridge? How does Beckinsale get over?
Yeah, good question.
Because it's a fucking chasm.
Yeah. Obviously.
I'm pretty sure the vampires would have figured out there's two sets of horse and carts.
I thought they've got an aerial view.
But I did like that. I did actually like that.
Pretty sure they could hear it.
Yeah. There's two. You go get that one. I'll get this one.
The clattering of hooves, I think, gives it away. But I actually liked it.
I did think, there was a hint of a good
right.
action scene in there. And I like that, Wenham has to rely on unchaining Frankenstein's monster. And,
and then you've got Jackman hanging between the sets of horses and shit. And some of that was
all right.
The closest thing to tension in that movie was the vampire versus Beckinsale, where she just gets completely isolated. That was the closest thing to good acting that she did, because she's like legitimately scared. And they did some cool things with the female vampires where they just disappear. And I thought that was some of the coolest elements. Them as a monster is pretty horrifying because they're very powerful, extremely elusive, and it didn't make any sense that a guy with a crossbow could even come close to hitting her.
Yeah.
There's definitely, like, I agree, the parts where they're doing the whole and Richard Roxburgh did it a little bit too, where they're talking to someone and someone kind of starts backing away and turns around and he's there. It sort of fits for those characters.
Yeah.
So I quite like that as well.
That was it for me.
Yep, same. I don't think I can.
Matty?
I think I can say many other things.
Yeah, not really. The threat of having your dick cut off was kind of funny. But no, there's not really a lot of really good stuff in there.
All right, dislikes.
Time to tee off.
The majority of the action scenes, again, were too much going on. And you summed it up, Jared. There always had to be lightning happening. There had to be sparks or shit flying around or shit, swooping, and, it was too much.
Cow being thrown through a window.
Yeah, like, there always had to be some kind of... It was almost like this is the equivalent of talking to fill dead air.
Yeah.
It was the equivalent of that. Like, it's like, holy shit, people are going to realise this is fucking crap. Let's just put shit everywhere.
Well, it's just like, we've got all this money, we've got this technology. Look at what we can do with it. Like, there's shit going on everywhere in every scene. There's stuff flying around. There's like we said, lightning. There's fire. There's...
Yeah, none of it's
we're
any
standing
good.
on the edge of the tallest fucking chasm you can imagine. Yeah. We're falling off into the river below, and it's a massive, it didn't add anything, really.
Well, yes.
I mean, you use it in a couple of the establishing shots and whatever, although even then the CGI looked a bit stodgy a couple of times, but you use it to set the scene, but then you don't have to be so over the top with it.
Yeah.
Less is more, people. And I'd imagine if you had have taken that advice, the budget would have come in at around 80 or 90, not 140.
But see, Stephen had got himself to the point where it was kind of like, well, this is what I do. It was like a new toy, I guess. Yeah. And he was one of the worst exponents of that, kind of overdoing it big time. So, yeah, some of that stuff, there was just no zip to any of it, you know. It was just kind of like showing this crap and saying, well, I feel like they were doing it to kind of paper over all the trouble, all the shit that's going on that doesn't make sense, or the plot points that don't hang.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what was going on in the plot. I'm not going to lie. And I'm not going to lie. I had a brief micro nap at about the 30-minute mark, and I couldn't work out what was happening. And then what I did was I ended up on my phone.
Yeah.
But it didn't really...
Which isn't good.
That's
like,
not
it
good
didn't-
for a movie.
Didn't matter, really. You could have slept and you wouldn't have missed... Like, if you had slept through the conversations between Kate Beckinsale and her brother, and you had just seen the part where he gets turned into a vampire and the part when he dies, you didn't miss anything in between that. Really? There was no progression in that storyline. It didn't make anything to do with her and the whole, the stakes are that she won't get to heaven. Very important. Like, how fucking hard is it to make those stakes really important?
Yeah. Not that hard.
What's riding on this? Me and my family won't get to heaven. Oh, okay. Fuck. How do we beef that up in the movie? Like, the whole thing about who Van Helsing was and Dracula. We never fucking... We have one little chat about it and then we fucking get to it and it just means nothing.
Yeah. It
Like-
was just like there is a history between them.
Yeah. It just... None of it means anything. Like, Igor. Fucking Igor. Like, he was supposed to be... Oh, yeah, he's this character that was kind of... Had an important place, was mistreated... So in this one, we'll turn him into kind of the backstabbing sort of work for whoever. But he was just a pest. He didn't have a fucking reason to hate him.
There was nothing like
He
it.
didn't actually have a role. Like, in a way, the tenuous links between Frankenstein and the plot shit that Dracula needed him for, which they kicked it off with. Then you had Igor, that he supposedly had some links, but again, they were all just tenuous.
Yeah.
So it felt like you were shoehorning these monsters in to kind of add... I'll tell you what, it's very similar to the Mummy, the Tom Cruise Mummy, where they shoehorned Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde into that because of the Dark Universe.
Yeah, because of the Dark Universe, because of Russell Crowe. We can get Russell Crowe to play this one.
But that never held up. And the same applies here. You had Frankenstein, you had Igor, but they didn't really need them.
The script
The Wolfman
managed to suck the life out of any tension in it. There was one scene where Dracula's fighting with Van Helsing, and he's like, well, what are you going to do about the antidote? And the response from Van Helsing is, oh, my friends are doing that for me. It's like, they're like, oh, all right, so this actually means nothing. We're just filling in time until we get to the resolution at the end.
I mean, I don't mean to be...
They didn't give a shit
when it
about
comes to the antidote, I don't mean to be simplified, but fucking Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom. You've been poisoned. Where's the fucking antidote? It's on the ground. Like, he's going after it. Simple shit like that.
Yeah.
It breathes a little bit of suspense into the picture.
Yeah.
But you're right. What are you going to do about the antidote? Oh, my mates are handling it.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Why are we bothering with this shit then?
Yeah.
Like, we just... again, it was just another one of these fights so we could roll out the CGI again.
It's completely unnecessary anyway, because Dracula's about to unleash 4,000 mini vampires that are going to destroy everything in their wake.
Jesus Christ. I can't wait to get to that. Oh, fucking hell. It's easily 30 minutes too long.
Yeah.
Why this
easy.
movie thinks it should be 2 hours and 15 minutes is fucking beyond me.
Because we had a bunch of towers and shit that had to be on screen for fucking 15 minutes.
It's not at 1.25 speed.
Yeah.
It's not that long.
It's
much better.
She's 90 minutes. When you're 12 and a half minutes, 90 minutes. You know what, though? I mean, yeah, you're filming in Romania or wherever the fuck you're filming. Yeah, you better get your money's worth out of the places that you've hired.
Yeah. I mean, time and a half, the fucking horse chase sequence, she was fucking flat chat. Talking about exciting.
Shit.
Everything was happening so fast. I couldn't keep up.
Just a side note too, just to bring this up, I forgot to bring it up when I mentioned it, but in Bad Boys, I swear that the action scenes are all sped up. Like all of them.
Yeah.
They are sped up by a notch.
Is the movie still 2 hours?
Yeah. Still fucking 2 hours. But all the action scenes
Makes
look like
the cars go
they've been
faster.
sped up
Yeah.
slightly. And it feels a little bit like they're trying to bring this kind of frenetic thing to it that isn't actually there.
Mm.
So if you slowed it down, it's not really there.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really weird when I was watching it. I was like, is that sped up? Just, if you do go to see it, take a look. Performances, apart from Jackman, rubbish. All of them. All of them. Richard Roxburgh, a fucking classically trained, solid
Fine actor.
Fine actor. Worst performance he's ever given.
And he was one of the best in the movie.
He's fucking shocking.
Well, so here's the thing that I question. In the first scene with
Frankenstein, yeah, Dr. Frankenstein.
he starts like quipping. He starts throwing these lines out that are supposed to be, we know Dracula is supposed to have a charm to it. A seductive charm, would you say that?
Seductive and fucking...
Shit gags is not seductive charm.
But that's the whole tone of the movie, though. That's
Look,
Seductive charm's one thing, Jared. Open mic night's not.
I get what they're going for, and I think something like David Wenham's character, okay, it didn't really work either, but if you're trying to get some comedy out of him, I understand that, because I understand you're going for a bit of a Bond and action-y sort of thing. Humour, great. Not from Dracula. Not from Richie Roxburgh throwing out a smarmy comment to Frankenstein, and it just, like, from the get-go.
Because he's got to be...
like,
Dracula is your big bad. So he's got to have a little bit of menace to him. So you actually have to have a sequence where he is menacing and dangerous.
And I think
they fucking don't do that at all.
No, I think they seem to have fallen back on, when he transforms in the CGI monster at the end, or when we see him chomping into a neck with these CGI fangs, that's what's going to scare you, and it doesn't at all. And so up until that, there's no fear about anything that he's going to do. I think what you said about the brides, they actually have a bit more of that.
Yes.
Even though I don't think that is super effective
either. I feel like they are more dangerous.
Yeah, I feel like they really fucking dropped the ball with Dracula.
Yeah.
And I'm open to different interpretations. I mean, me and Adam spoke about this during Voyage of the Demeter, that, like, we've seen it so many times, but did we really want to pinch a little bit of Leslie Nielsen in Dead and Loving It and sprinkle that into the mix? I think we've already seen that didn't work, as much as I love Leslie, and that didn't work out. So.
I'll take the tone of Voyage over this any time.
Yeah, exactly. Voyage got it right. Dracula is dangerous in Voyage.
And we don't need to see him we can see the results of the actions. There's
Plus,
so much more
in Voyage, he doesn't even transform into the charming Dracula that we know.
He's weak, which is one of the best parts about it.
Yeah.
You're like, there's a monster on board that's going to kill everyone, and then you're like, oh, but he actually needs to get some strength up. That's part of the charm.
But he is a monster the whole time. He's never the charming Dracula that we know.
He's so...
How would you have felt if
he turned into Richard Roxburgh?
I think we need someone to do like a fan cut on YouTube that he comes out of the shadows and it's Richard Roxburgh hamming it up.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I think I kind of get what you're saying, Matty. I think there's an element where it's like, again, you're on the mark, you're on the right track, but not with the Dracula character. I think they've screwed it up by doing it with...
You wanted Matt Berry in there.
If Matt Berry was in this, it's fucking 5 stars. I mean, if Van Helsing bursts in and Matt Berry's there going, oh, shit. What the fuck do you want?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a 5 star.
Unfortunately, Roxburgh's shit leaks onto Wenham as well. He's pretty fucking bad as well.
This is, like, imagine if
this is how you ruined 2 Australian actors' careers. You put them in this.
If this was a hit, we've got another 2, another 2 fine Australian actors who have bigger careers in Hollywood.
Yeah.
If we went over to America and we said Richard Roxburgh and David Wenham are both really good actors, people would fucking laugh you off the set, wouldn't they? And so I've seen Van Helsing.
But this is the thing. This is why I gave Jackman a pass. Is that even when he's shit, which he's pretty shit in this, he's still got that magnetic kind of presence about him and the charisma that you get from a star.
Well, he didn't have to stretch beyond what he's kind of known for now.
He didn't do anything wrong, but that's because he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
He didn't.
That's a solid way of looking at it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He could, like you look at Wenham. Wenham was the sex machine of the.
Yeah, I
He was the only one who got the leg over.
Yeah.
You're gonna make Van Helsing James Bond. He doesn't bet anybody.
I know.
He has no flaws other than he's too committed to his job, for better or worse.
But what was his connection to Dracula?
He killed him.
He killed
him.
He killed him 400 years ago.
Oh, right.
And he stole his ring.
Oh, that's
Cut
right.
his finger off, which was...
That's right.
Like they did for everything. Let's just chuck a line of exposition in there to explain
exactly.
why there's this feud.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
But I think, again, you've got the idea, this is what I got from it, that the Vatican is basically like the MI6, but for hunting monsters.
Yeah. Which had monks in it. There's all sorts of stuff going on in that.
But that's
weird
fucking
underworld.
10 minutes and we do away with that. Yeah, man, if you're going to go the Bond sort of route, like have a little bit of, I don't know, a bit more of that in there. Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think there was an attempt to make this a franchise?
Yeah.
Oh, for
Definitely.
Sure.
Yep.
For sure.
I mean
Jackman
Jackman was riding high with X-Men. This would have been perfect
The thing that...
if it had have hit.
The reason why Jackman doesn't come out with the same sort of stench that the other two do, similar to the stench in this room at the moment.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, side note, there was a dog turd in here. Some of us were prepared to live with it. Others were not.
others were not. We've already had...
So
we've
the
already
wet
had
dry
some
back
luck.
had to come out.
It's like, you're on a basketball team and you're asking Jackman to make layups.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's made a few layups, but he doesn't have his best game. Richard Roxburgh's like, he's like your fucking your postman that you're asking to step out and shoot threes when he hasn't done it for a while. And David Wenham.
In this case, he's never done it.
Yeah, David Wenham, you kind of, you're throwing him into the shooting guard role, and he's usually he's a tweener or something. And so
And
you
this
sort
team
of
gets passed by 20.
yeah. And so
30 shots.
the eyes are on Roxburgh and Wenham, and they're saying, well, this guy, he's a postman, but he wasn't in the post all night. He was jacking up threes, so it's his fault. Like, basically, that's the way I look at it. Richie Roxburgh's not a hammy Dracula. If you asked him to fucking throw a Shakespearean-inspired Dracula on a stage production, he'd probably fucking kill it. But not in this.
No.
That's sort of the way
And this is
seeing
where
it.
I also blame Summers. Because if he comes out of the fucking trailer and rolls that up day one, I'm going, oh, Richard, come here. What the fuck are we... Did I need to spend a few days with you explaining what I need? Because that's not it.
Yeah, but Summers...
Like, you need to go away for a bit and
Summers
fucking fix
wrote
this
it,
up.
though.
I know, this is the problem.
So are the gags his fault?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think Summers is trying to recapture the Mummy.
I would
So
love to know
the Mummy,
where it sort of went wrong.
The Mummy
whether it was like a
worked.
smooth production and it was just like a badly made film. Look,
I think you'd say, that's probably where it was. I think have never heard anything that it was like a production that ran out.
well, we know Hugh Jackman's not asking people to take his bottles of piss off set. Things like that. And Roxburgh is a professional. He turns up on time.
He turns up and delivers a shit ass performance every
but he
single
does
day.
it on time.
I bet you that that was the direction he got and he followed it perfectly.
Yeah. I
He's
don't
much
doubt
better
that.
than that.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I think you'll find that Summers that's what he had in mind.
I can only circle that because I don't think I've ever seen Richard Roxburgh in anything else and gone, whew.
Yeah, stinky. Okay, yeah. I feel like I stepped in dog shit. Oh no, it's you.
No, I did. Sorry.
No, it's your fucking performance. Hugh Jackman's hair. Holy shit. Holy shit. You know what? I was expecting him to suddenly burst into How Can We Be Lovers? He looked like Michael Bolton circa 1992.
I'd be saying to the people, look, when they bring the wig out, I'm like, look at me. I've got a fucking whizzing blade in my hair. You reckon they wouldn't be able to clip me up and trim my hair a little bit?
You want to get my fucking hair caught
Does
in
that
that
make
thing?
Kate Beckinsale Kenny G?
Honestly, Jackman should have been saying, "Look at me, look at me." Like, women will come to this movie, and then you're putting this pile of shit on my fucking head.
Oh, they would have loved it anyway.
It made me look even worse. Yeah, his hair is atrocious. Like, they should have, again, rethink it.
Yeah.
Rethink that bit.
Yeah.
But again, I reckon Summers, he had so many hats on. By the look of things, I don't think he was keeping track of what was happening.
He should have put one on Jackman, so he didn't have to put that shit out on his. Well, he did, didn't he? But he looked like fucking John Carver in Thanksgiving when he had the hat on top as well. Like, he had the flowing locks and everything. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So I've taken a few shots at the CGI.
Yeah.
There's a few more to probably take, but even the practical, like the makeup on Igor is awful.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good at all.
He looked horrible.
He did. He kind of looked like Gaz Abusey.
Current
Gary Busey.
Who said the video about Gary Busey? I think it was Luke.
Yeah.
He was talking about, he was doing the fucking thing from Point Break.
Yeah, give me two.
Oh,
But
honestly,
then he fucking talked about the buttered sausage meme too, didn't he? It's like, Gary, that wasn't you originally. That was a fucking AI video. Now you're talking about it.
honestly, Gary looks fucking... I think is he on death's door? Because he fucking looked pretty bad.
Cocaine is a hell of a
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
Gary's had a rough time of it
I
recently.
don't think he's gonna hang around for too much longer.
No, I think he must be in some pretty big trouble. But
Yeah.
No, coming back to what you said, the practical stuff's not working either. And that's the mark of what, like, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking $160 million and you haven't got the best people?
Mm.
You know, you haven't got the best effects people?
Yeah.
The CGI stuff, I'm not going to cut it some slack, but I'm going to say that that's technological.
Yeah, look, they took
The
a big
best people
swing.
are probably there.
They took a big swing, and you probably could have still had an entertaining movie whilst looking at some of the CGI and going, "Oh, that doesn't really work."
But I'm sure the best people were working on that. I'm not saying that that's the case, but the practical stuff, there are thousands. Like, there's really good people out there, and it just didn't look like the effort was in that.
It's probably the best first movie somebody's ever seen. It's the first movie you'd ever see, you would have been like, "This is amazing."
Yeah.
There's nothing better than this.
Yeah, I can't believe they got that Igor guy to look as ugly as he does.
Yeah. But if you've seen anything else, you're going to be like, this falls short.
Yeah. The direction's all over the joint. Again,
Which again is a product of CGI, because you're fucking flying between a green screen and then these fucking CGI monsters all over the place, and
Bridges are falling.
And this was back in the days of, like, they didn't even have things like the that they put all the little dots on you and do it up that way. Like, this would have been pre all that.
Yeah.
So he would have been spending a lot of time directing that shit.
Yeah.
And that stuff would be very, very hard to direct back then. So I'm not cutting him any slack, because the fucking thing is cut to ribbons. It's like Michael Bay. Like, it's just cut up by like millions of quick cuts and stuff, partially to hide some of the shit, I reckon.
Mm.
So directorially, it's a bit of a disaster. The score. It was Alan Silvestri. He's better than that. It's like all these top quality people got together to produce their shittest fucking work.
All-Star Game. Told you.
Yeah.
I did like.
Yeah, they turned up. They wanted a weekend in Miami. They weren't.
They paid an upfront front-loaded contract.
Yeah.
And got surprised when they didn't get any effort in the
game. Yeah.
In the last season of the contract.
I think it's. Yeah, I don't know.
The score was just fucking chanting, and then there was a sitar involved.
There was the sitar one. You know, it actually didn't sound too bad in short bursts, but it kind of kept coming back.
Yeah.
I would like
long stretches where you could hear that shit going on.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, maybe we should have.
Are you just off the sitar since Axl Rose got a hold of one? Or?
If there was ever a time I wanted a sitar inserted in someone's bum, I would suggest it was an Axl Rose got hold of it. What the fuck is that song called too? Isn't he singing like an
Shackles
Indian
Revenge.
as well?
I remember when Luke put that on in the car. He's like, "Oh yeah, Chinese democracy. Check this out." Put on fucking Shackler's Revenge. And 2 minutes in, you and I were going, "Turn this shit off."
Chinese democracy. Oh, Jesus,
Yeah.
what an album.
Didn't get thrown out the window like Samanga.
I love that story.
Yeah.
Get 3 songs in, fucking out the window.
Throw it out the window.
20 bucks down the train.
Someone's
Gibbo. A
probably.
bloke in touch with his in touch with his emotions.
I'm certain someone's probably hooked that down at like Ginadera, just throwing a line in, come out with a copy of Saint Anger.
Chucked it back in.
God.
Classic.
Oh man, no. Yeah, the music just didn't work for me because it kept happening, and it was for long stretches.
Yeah.
And so you've got that pulsing beat, and then you've got the chanting, and then you've got the sitar. In isolation, maybe that some of that might have worked. But fuck.
It actually sounds like Chinese democracy. Like you say. We've got chanting, we've got sitars. That's exactly what I recall about it. So,
I recall I was supposed to get a free Dr. Pepper too for buying that piece of shit. I did not get it, if I'm not mistaken.
it was probably more wailing than chanting too when
Yeah,
Axel
yeah.
was doing it.
That weird knick-knack bloke has.
Yeah, with a bucket on his head.
Bucket head.
He's got Slash's hat on.
We could do a whole episode on that album. Fuck. Incredible album. Now, coming back to, I think I answered my question about how did they get the 2 horse carriages? How did the other one jump over the chasm? Because was there another bridge?
Must have been.
Oh, it must have been.
I just missed it.
And as you guys said, those things are fucking airborne.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would have seen, there's another one there.
yeah. Don't know how they work that one. Going back to the brides in the village, I did enjoy the scene, but the effects just kind of spoil it a couple of times.
Yeah.
Like, because you have to see so much of the brides flying around in the air, and then the kicker is when Mariska is killed. And the effects are just too much.
Yeah.
It's just like they just linger on it as she's fucking burning away and
Oh, is that where she's pinned to the...
Yeah. And she just crumbles away and it's like, ugh, it's the
They do that
limitations
again
just-
too later with the other girl when she...
during
is
the-
it
during the
her?
horse
She
fight.
falls apart and then it leaves just her skull behind, and then like in this almost like a stupid kind of Three Stooges type of thing, the skull hangs there for a second then drops. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Wile E. Coyote.
It's just ridiculous. Yeah, the old Acme.
She's got to chase the horses off the bridge and then stands there for a second and looks down and holds up a sign.
It says, oh, fuck. And then she just drops out of sight. Yeah, that type of thing. But I'll tell you right now, I think the whole thing with the door to Dracula's castle, fuck. What a shit of a sequence that was. And they sort of come to it, the conclusion, oh, yeah, it must be over here. Oh, they're missing a piece. Oh, yeah, but you never had this. And then they walk through it, and again, the CGI is just shocking. And then they finish that entire sequence of just shit with David Wedder walking through, seeing that it's Dracula's castle and going, ooh, shit, and trying to go back and running into the wall behind it. Just like...
And just completely unprepared.
Yeah.
Let's make a plan. Let's have a conversation about what we're going to do.
They say, what's the plan? What's the plan? No one answers the question.
Yeah.
There is no fucking plan.
I'm going to go...
Jackman's fucking hair was in his ears. He didn't hear it.
Anna goes into the snow with high heels and a bodice on. Fuck's sake.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
not preparing yourself for fate.
Yeah. You guys got to tool up.
Yeah.
Tool up and get ready to nail this bloke.
Get a sword, get a stake.
Well, you essentially had Q fucking tooling you up with all the best equipment in the business, early in the movie, but we didn't use any of it at that point.
Go and get some of these flash bombs that worked effectively to destroy every single vampire in that stupid masquerade.
Yeah.
You're blowing
What the
up
fuck was that?
You're blowing up you're grabbing the little drop of whatever it is and blowing up your fucking lab. But we're not using much of that when we get out in the field. And this comes back to the sequence in the village. That's the one time when they actually fucking use some of it.
Yeah, and it's all right. Yeah, like some of that works. Oh, man. Just the finale is just a mess.
Jeez, you're getting there quickly.
I know, but...
plenty to get to, but, you know.
The stuff at the finale. I mean, fuck. Fill me in. Fill the middle in, but Jesus.
Is that when you fell asleep? Is that
No, I was awake, but I was not paying attention. I wasn't. This movie, it does not deserve my attention. You know? What do you got? Come on, Jared. Come through. Talk to me.
Okay. Well,
Hit me with the middle of it.
Okay.
Masquerade Ball? Was it Jackman on the fucking trapeze?
I was actually
Ridiculous.
a little light on the Masquerade Ball. I didn't really take
Pay
any
enough
shots
attention on that. But
Dracula and his brides, there's that scene where they're getting upset with each other and they start fucking growling at each other. They start baring teeth and fucking back and forth at each other. Like, we didn't need to see this. We're verbalising all our discontent at the moment. We don't need this.
Keep that behind closed doors, please.
If that was the part that was supposed to scare me about Dracula and the brides, that wasn't it.
That wasn't it. Seemed to be that they were, once again, taking that mummy approach of the humour. There's a humour to it.
Yeah.
And it was not going to work here.
I don't know if that part was supposed to be humorous, but I found it very much so.
But you know what I mean? It's not that shit is not going to work here.
Yeah.
It's a totally different set of characters here from a darker a darker world.
Yeah.
The mummy was different. So I don't know why he felt like he had to make... And that might be the one thing that we need to find out about. Was he pushed into... this has to be the same type of thing.
You might fucking laugh me out of the room here, but if you go back and watch The Mummy, is fucking Imhotep not a little bit more of a successful portrayal of a villain?
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's not cracking gags.
Because he doesn't talk.
Arnold Vosloo...
No, but he doesn't talk. Imhotep never talks.
Correct.
They use a really good way of showing how dangerous he is early on when and they find him fucking sucking that bloke's soul out, and then Rick takes him on, and they shoot it out, and he twists and disappears into fucking...
Remember when he fucking... don't they have the bit in the desert where there's like fucking scarabs and shit that he's controlling? Yeah. What does this sound like? It sounds like fucking Dracula, sucking a soul, controlling... Like, you used to change scarabs for bats. That's fucking Dracula. So why did we have Dracula and think, let's fucking ham him up a little bit?
Yeah. He's charming.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's such a stupid plan anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The premise of it's just stupid.
And when they first show those baby... I started laughing.
They looked like ghoulies with wings.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I was expecting one of them to pop up out of the toilet.
Yeah. And why were they all in giant nutsacks? I don't know.
Yeah, well, they were alien. They were aliens.
We don't need these scrotums hanging all over the place.
Not only that, but every time they were around, we had those fucking steampunk Jawa kind of fucking things.
Yeah, what were they?
They were called the Dwerkies or something. Dwerkles or...
Fuck. So they were his fucking minions, were they?
Yeah. And I don't, like...
But who were they? Like, were they people he had bitten?
They lose their mask at one point and they're like...
So what are they? I don't know.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't think the filmmakers know.
I didn't like that. Another one that I laughed at more than I should have. What was Anna's brother called? Verkin?
Yeah.
Verkin, was it?
Verkin.
He comes back and there's the scene where he's in the house and he kind of transforms back from a wolf to himself for a minute and he goes, I know Dracula's secret. He has... And he can't
changes
speak
again?
anymore and then he changes back. I was like, oh no, we didn't just do that, did we? Like, that was the extent of what we got between him and her until he died, essentially. And it's just talk about flat. It's but I couldn't stop laughing when he's like, that's the sort of shit that surely you watch and go, this is going to become something that people laugh at and tell each other about for the rest of fucking. Our movie is going to be known for these moments.
Yeah.
See, in the night, well, this wasn't the 90s, this was the early 2000s. But these days, a movie like this would have been shown to the studio, and they'd have either fucking gone, shit, we need to go back and reshoot for 6 weeks and fix this up, or we cut this. We get rid of it. Yes. Like, you look at what they did. Look at what fucking Zaslav's been doing.
Yeah.
They're getting rid of films that are already made.
Well, it's only him doing that.
because I mean, it wasn't the word on Batgirl that was unreleasable.
Well, it was directed by the guys that did the Bad Boys movie, so maybe he was onto something
Maybe
after
he
your
was.
review of the last
Maybe
one.
he was, but back when this movie was made, they weren't doing that. So they were saying, well, oh yeah, but the kids will love it.
And it's not like a, it's not, meme culture wasn't around at that time like it is now, where something will fucking set the internet on fire about,
Yeah.
oh, have a look at this.
Yeah.
Like McClunky in Star Wars. Like, we came across that the other day. And
McClunky.
I couldn't stop laughing. My daughter thought it was the funniest thing in the entire first Star Wars movie.
Is that the one where he headbutts the fucking...
No,
The
it's
Stormtrooper?
it's the, so when Star Wars arrived on Disney Plus,
Yeah.
further tinkering with the Greedo and Han scene took place.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, there's a line that doesn't have any subtitles with it. And it's just before Han shoots Greedo. They've inserted this other shot of Greedo's face, and he fucking goes, McClunky. And then, boom, he gets shot. And it just took off like meme culture, and everyone's like, what are we doing? And I watched it, and I'm like, what possible reason could you have to add this half second of, like, what does it achieve? It achieves absolutely nothing, and it's turned it into a meme or whatever.
Oh, man.
So I'd imagine if this movie was released now, you would get a couple of these scenes chopped up and go around the internet as a meme, whatever, which wasn't happening at the time, but you still had, we would buy those Leonard Maltin books, and they'd have the movie goofs to look out for and all this sort of shit. So, yeah, I don't know. You see that, and surely you just go, this doesn't work.
You know what,
At
though?
all.
If this had been made now, and Hugh Jackman, because he rode off X-Men, so he went from Wolverine to this, then back to Wolverine. His career's in fucking jeopardy if it's made now.
Yeah.
Because people will be like, holy shit, this movie fucking sucks.
He's going to make anything.
And his shit goes boom a little bit. Right, it hits a bit of a bump. You look at Stephen Summers; he fucking disappeared after this. He made one other film, Dean Koontz adaptation, Odd Thomas.
You would have watched it?
I did.
A bit of Koontz?
I did. It was actually all right, but it was years later, and it went through a heap of shit, and it never really got released properly.
Yeah.
He has not made a movie since. And yet this made $300 million. Both Mummy films that he directed were very successful financially.
Mm-hmm.
So he, in the space of one movie, his career just went nowhere.
And I was surprised by the box office when you mentioned the box office.
Yeah, I was surprised.
It didn't
300
really
million.
lose money. I guess when you account for marketing, maybe it lost a little bit.
I mean,
of money,
it would have been just maybe made a little bit of money.
But yeah, it's not like it's
Well, shit,
losing
mate.
$200 million.
Well, something recently lost $200 million.
I think Mad Max was looking in that vicinity.
I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah.
This is the other thing they were saying about Bad Boys. It's budgeted at 100, so they're saying, well, it's cheap in today's climate.
Yeah.
So that's why it's going to make a lot of money. Unbelievable.
Trouble.
Wow. What else you got? Got anything else?
A couple of others. Already talked about like a little bit of what I felt like the problems with Dracula were, and the final sort of the beast form that you see.
Oh,
No good.
no.
Doesn't look very good. You can see kind of hints of other things, like trying to remember certain video games and seeing where you've got the sort of long-haired Dracula and the big sort of beefy white skin look. But it's not great. And especially because of the CGI, again, it looks a little bit goofy. Same as I think The Bride suffered a little bit of that. It just looked a little bit, when you see it so much and so on screen for so long. They just looked a little bit goofy.
Yeah.
Matty's favourite line when Anna kills the last bride and says, "If you're going to kill someone, kill them. Don't stand there talking about it."
Yeah.
Not good. Not good.
Which is a line that I've seen delivered better in Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. If you're going to shoot, don't talk.
Yeah.
Much better.
Much better.
Yeah.
Concise.
Yeah, concise. Well, the man with no name doesn't talk much either, so fuck.
My favourite line was, talking of hammy, Frankenstein got very hammy. He was kind of yelling a lot at the end and whatever.
Yeah.
But there was the line where he's hanging off the bridge and David Wenham's character comes over. He's like, "But you're supposed to die." And Frankenstein looks up at him and he goes, "But I want to live." I couldn't. Yeah,
I had the note. Frankenstein is an odd dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just wanted a
Definitely.
friend. That's all. A bit hard to find friends when you put your head back on, but yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I probably could kick a few other things, but I'll stop there.
Let's get the end. Have you got?
Well, the finale is just a fucking disaster. That's where it's absolutely. They just cram everything in
Everything's
there.
going
Like the
on.
fight between Van Helsing and Dracula when they're monsters is just like there is that thing in the background going.
It's
Like,
spinning.
and then you've got shit exploding around them and everything getting smashed up and everything. And I was just like my eyeballs are being assaulted.
That we're cutting in with the fucking flying ghoulies and
Yeah, like it's just there's so much going on and none of it makes any sense or is in any way interesting. And it's just like, again, it's this whole people will be bored. Fuck, let's just do everything we can. And it's just a horror. It's just a nightmare.
He
to
has
watch.
no reason to actually fight Van Helsing at that point. He knows the only thing that can kill him is a werewolf that he's coming after.
So it's best to back up.
Just disappear.
yeah.
Just, I'm going to go sit outside above a moat.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck getting over here.
And just Frankenstein do your work.
Yeah.
He would have been right.
Yeah, he would have. He would have actually, yes.
Wait it out.
Wait him out.
he'd fly over to the other side of the chasm, and then after a couple of minutes, oh fuck, I forgot about the other bridge. When the horses come steaming up on him,
and then the last thing for me was him looking up into the sky to see Kate Beckinsale smiling back at him from the clouds.
Yeah. Yeah, it worked a little better when Mufasa did it.
All I could think of was, just give me a break. Like, fuck. You should be ashamed of yourself.
She's gotten to heaven.
I know.
The really important shit that was going on through the movie. She got there.
Man.
That was all
It was just so ham-fisted.
Yeah, it was bullshit.
That's it for me. Has anyone got anything else?
No, I'm not gonna.
Oh, they
lay
could
any
have.
more on.
They could have mined the Archangel Gabriel thing versus the son of the devil.
Yeah.
That could have been a much more exciting way to have this. He figures out that he's actually an angel.
I mean, even though the moment he says Gabriel and they start talking about son of the devil, or he was killed by the right hand of God, you're like, oh, okay, so that's who he is. But it's just fucking
slotted in there just as a little bit of an
about
extra thing, and then
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Just again, they were focusing on, I reckon, toys, games, fucking tie-ins.
Yep.
And then that shit was going on in the 90s and into the early 2000s where movies were being made.
They were definitely looking for more
Johnny
movies.
Peters, he was making fucking Batman and Superman movies strictly because of the toys.
Yeah.
So this is exactly that.
Yeah.
They would have had a tie-in with some burger joint like Burger King or Macca's or something. They had a game. They definitely had a game because some of the people in the film lend their voice to the game, and it's on their IMDb page.
Mm.
It's clearly being made for children and or merchandise.
It's another one that goes with some of the interesting, or tries to mine a little bit of the religious stuff with Dracula and leaves a sort of a plot line like that hanging. Remember Dracula? Was it Dracula 2000? Where they sort of dropped that, Dracula was actually Judas Iscariot.
Yes.
He took silver coins to betray Jesus, and that explained the silver. I'm like, that's a pretty fucking cool idea.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that though. We'll just mention it.
Yeah.
I know you got on Van Helsing for his hair. You didn't mention David Wenham's hair at all.
Yeah, but he's a friar. He's supposed to have a shit haircut.
Yeah. I probably should have been a little bit less. I should have dished out some harshness towards him too. But it's just because Jackman stuck out so fucking
Were you
heavily.
thinking he should have
Plus,
had...
he gets a lot more screen time.
Should he have had the fucking friar tuck kind of bearded egg sort of
Yeah.
situation going on?
Yeah, I reckon.
That would have been...
That would have worked out
funny.
right. But yeah, Jackman's hair is fucking not on. Not on. Like, you know, there were barbers back then.
He's got a knife.
Yeah, you could cut that shit yourself.
2 seconds.
He doesn't have time though, Adam. He's
Oh,
just,
He's roaming
He's
the
so
streets,
busy,
taking
so
care
busy.
of every CGI
CGI
monster he
monstrosity
comes.
come across. Like,
He hasn't got a good friend to give him a high top face.
that's right.
Even the juice box fade. I mean,
He's not
shit.
trusting Wenham to give him a haircut.
Yeah. Oh, no. God, no. All right. That was Van Helsing. You can find us on Podomatic, iTunes, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. Send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. We're on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com, and Instagram at Thrill Me Podcast AU. Keep an eye on the Facebook page for details of our next film. Matty, thank you for your return.
Thanks for
Probably
having
not under the best of circumstances. I think you probably
You got me back for the wrong vampire.
Yeah,
Just saying.
I know. We
Yeah.
probably should have got you back for the one previous to this.
Definitely.
But until then, everyone, take it easy, and we'll catch up with you all later. Cheers. Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.